Okay, today we are decking the underside of a Rumely 1630 block. This block blew up sometime in the late 20s, early 30s, so the tractor was rebuilt. They had fusion welded it back. When they did it, they never remachined it after, and as you can see, the whole piece had pulled up a little bit. So we're going to deck this flat back parallel to the top deck, then we'll flip it over and deck the head gasket side, then we'll bore it out. Well, you can see the weld is here. We have die penned it. There was no visible cracks with the die pin, so everything should be okay. It was a sound weld. The tractor did run after the repair. It blew up for another reason. And you can see here, I'm just starting to touch this side here, and the other side where it's lifted up has cleaned up now. So it was out where I touched the high spot. It was out from about here to here, about 8 to 10 thou, depending on where we went. So it wasn't too bad, but we'll get it flat. Just a little bit more in the center. So we had it decked from the bad spot. It was about 15 thou we cleaned up here. You can just see the last wisp of the old machining mark. So now we have a dead flat surface to register off of, so everything will be good. Are you ready?
I'm already ready.
Okay. So this block still actually has the factory stampings where both cylinders were bored to 7 inches. This block was rebored. Like I said, I don't know. I'm assuming that it had broke and then they sent it out for a rebuild, because the motor, when we took it apart, most stuff was in very good shape. So it probably was rebuilt and then it blew up shortly thereafter. I'd have to get back on the fellow we got it from, but I believe it blew up in the early 30s. By the sounds of it, a governor weight came off, got stuck underneath the crankshaft. It blew the crankshaft up, blew the flywheel up. It did a lot of internal damage to the engine. The tractor itself was actually fairly good. We had one bowl gear, the other bowl gear was gone, but the one bowl gear and pinion were in very nice shape on it. So we managed to get another parts tractor, and we'll be able to make 2 into the 1. Wallowed out this way and this way. You can see it's basically touching here at the corners so probably another couple of thou she should clean up. That's 4 thou right there. Probably another thou and a half, and I'll clean that all up. Okay, the block is all decked here. It did have a very bad wow in the middle. From where we touched to where we ended up, we took a, well, 10 thou right on the readout. So it's now a nice smooth deck for the head gasket to seal on. The cylinder head we already decked, so with a new head gasket we should have no issues. Okay, we set the cylinder up in the boring mill. This was bored out at one time. The bore that was into the bore to here, when we trammed them, they're out about 3 to 4 thou to each other. We took this as being our true bore. Problem with this, there's mice lived in it for a while. You're hearing that one spot it's missing. There's a little bit of metal gone in it, so that's the main reason for the overbore. We're probably going to end up going, probably an 1/8 of an inch oversized by the time it's done. We'll see. This is kind of the first cut through to see how it goes. And yeah, just in case you're wondering, there are counter bores in the back of the angle plate, so that way I do run through so we don't hit the back of the angle plate, in case you're wondering. Okay, we've dialed the second bore in. Center to center was supposed to be 8 inches. When we dialed everything in, it was out about 8 thou from the original center line. I left it. I mean, for what it is, it's going to be fine. Just if people are curious, what we did is I dialed my angle plate in. It was out a couple of thou. I took a very light cleanup cut off it as everything bolted down. So my table is true to the machine. After we ground both sides of the cylinder, when I bolted in, I did cram it up and down. No negligible run out either way. I was using a thou reading dial, and the dial just moved a hair, maybe a couple of tenths. For a tractor like this, is more than adequate. What we'll do is we'll bore it out, then we'll hone it. And new pistons, we have the pattern, they have to go to the foundry, then we have to machine them up. Okay, here we have the Rumely 1630 cylinder bored out. It was originally 7 inches. It was actually stamped 7.000 on both cylinders. It was bored out at one time to 7 1/32. We ended up boring out to 7 3/32. The reason for such a big overbore is the mice unfortunately had lived in here for quite some time, and the front of the cylinders were quite pitted. The pistons were only about 3 inches from the front, so just the front little bit was pitted. That's all cleaned up now. Let me put the light on here. They did clean up, you can see here. They left about 4 thou for honing, so we'll hone that out. We'll get new rings. A friend of mine had patterns made for pistons here several years back, so I do have them. I just have to take them down to the foundry. I've been too lazy to take them down. The foundry's only about 4 buildings down from me here, so I'll have to take it down one of these days and get them cast. Probably the next thing on this, I think a couple of the head studs were bad, if memory serves me right. We'll probably just make up all new head studs, just out of 4140 HTSR TG&P. We'll use a geometric die head to cut the threads on them, and yeah, we'll keep plugging away at this project. Hopefully we'll bring the chassis down sometime in the upcoming summer. We meant to get it in the fall time, but we had that early snowstorm in October, and that just kind of threw everybody for a loop, and we never had a chance to bring it down. So hopefully we can do that and start working on the chassis as well. So that'll be it for now. Bye-bye. Yeah, also forgot to mention, one of the next things we have to do is honing out. I've been working on a honing bench, a horizontal honing bench, for quite some time to hone these tractor blocks out. My elbow is not as good as it once was, so we'll see. Maybe I'll get that done in time here so we can actually use it to hone this out. And also, speaking of the foundry, right now it's a nice night. We've got the doors open here. I can actually smell the AB resin from the foundry, so that's how close we are, and that's how lazy I am. Bye-bye.